I'd like to call the City Council meeting to order, March 1st, 2017. Everybody please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody tonight to our council meeting. First item up is the approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of meeting minutes from February 1st and February 16th, 2017. Is there any questions or comments? If there's no questions on the minutes, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval of the bills to be paid. Is there any questions or comments on the bills to be paid?
These bills have already been paid, so.
If no questions, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve the bills. I'll second it.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Excuse me. Consent agenda for this evening, resolution 113-17, approval of February 2017 journal entries. Item B, acknowledgement of people services, February 2017 written report. Item C, acknowledgement of receiving a 2016 wastewater treatment facility operational award for people services and the city, which they will receive in May, I believe, at their meeting. May. I think it's May.
Yep.
Those are our three consent agenda items for this evening. I'd look for a motion unless somebody has a question.
Yeah, how do you go about getting an award? Or what are they judging? Or how do they judge it? Do they come out and do a site visit or something, or what?
I believe that. Well, it's kind of based on what your test results and things of that sort with your wastewater and the work that is being
I
done.
think pretty much almost every year, I think we've actually received this award, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. There's other cities
Yeah.
that, that get it, and either Greg or Chad, when they go to the conference, will accept the award on behalf of.
Yeah, we got timely reports and no issues, no problems, stuff that got released, all that.
Nice.
Yep.
Alright, thanks.
So with that said, I'd look for a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Alright.
Opposed? Carried. Item 6 for this evening is water repair at Royals Park. If you recall, last fall we shut the valve off on Royals Park because it leaked. We replaced it. And we have 3 quotes today in front of us that are looking at replacing the valve or putting a new valve from the main entrance on Royals Park and supplying them with water again. There's 3 bids in our estimates.
There's one that you just got tonight.
It's on your dais.
Yeah. So we pretty much are doing as we had talked last fall. We fixed the valve so we can get through the winter, and then it was asked that we bring quotes back to you this spring. So hopes that if we're gonna make repairs, we do them now before they start practicing and prepping the field for the spring. So we really need a answer tonight as far as who you wanna go with, what we're gonna do, so that people can start planning their springs and we have it ready to rock and roll, so when we can start digging, we're done.
I think some of the things that we look at are obviously priced and then trying to go local, correct?
Yes. Yep, and there should be 2 bids that are local.
Yep. Have we had, I mean, we have experience with both of these, is my guess.
From my understandings, yes.
Each one of these 3 bids are pretty much apples for apples, correct? Okay, so
They should be, they met with both Chad and Kevin, so, and we're given the same information to put quotes together, yes.
And all 3 of these have done business here in Richmond before. I mean, they've come in and done different projects for us.
Yep.
Some small, some big. Just a matter of when they've come in.
Right.
So I guess one of our goals is to grow our businesses in Richmond. So I would be looking at for me, both of the ones from Richmond, because those are businesses in town that we wanna, give our business to. And I guess then the next thing to look at would be price, and there is I mean, it's not really apples to apples with price, kind of,
No, there's a little bit of a gap.
$1,300 difference there, so I guess I would probably, consider going with the lower of the two. Actually, there's even more if you add on the 350 to the Gherkin proposal. So truly, we work with both businesses and they're good to work with, both of them, and there's that much of a difference in pricing. I would make a motion to go with Schmidt's Excavating for the baseball park changes, repairs, whatever you wanna call it.
Anybody else have any?
Question.
Go ahead.
Cody, anything you see in here pretty much apples to apples, like you said?
Yeah, I would imagine it is. I didn't see the quotes, but.
Yeah, being it's the water in the park, we've had Chad and Kevin working on it, so Kevin is here if there's
Kevin.
any questions.
Kevin, you want?
Yeah, they should be identical. They were walked through the process of what we wanted done exactly the same way. So
Okay,
they should be exact with each other.
okay.
Except the one has the restoration of the ground and the other one has an addition to that. So it's an additional amount to restore, where the other one, Schmidt's, does not. It's part of his quote.
We have a motion on the table.
That's part of it?
Yeah, yeah, it
Okay,
is.
that was
Yeah,
not
we
gonna be
talked
one,
about
right.
restoring all turf back the way it was.
Okay. So that's all in, okay.
Yep.
I have a question for you. Has the baseball team seen your drawing of where you plan on
They
going?
did.
through
I met with the
everything?
baseball team their February meeting and explained to them what we had to do. So they understand, they know what we're doing up there. Yeah. And that we're basically taking what used to be one water service and we're turning it into two. Separating the irrigation system from the potable drinking water. Which by code we have to do anyways, so.
So is this all gonna be mapped out so that there'll be a public record of it when it's done?
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
mean, obviously, when we talked about this the first time, there's a lot of guessing of where things were because nobody seems to know.
Correct, yes. We will plot it out and we'll make sure that we have a map of where everything is off of the fences and,
And is the city gonna fund the whole project?
correct.
It's a water issue, so therefore the city needs to be responsible for any repairs and maintenance of the water.
According to our agreement with the park or with the Royals, anything that has to do with water mains or sewer is the city's responsibility.
Yep.
When that was initially installed though, wasn't there a question about who was responsible for that, or there was a mistake in?
I think regardless of that, our existing agreement that we lease them the park under, we're responsible for water to the park.
Anybody else have any other questions? Otherwise, we do have a motion to accept the bid from Schmidt's Excavating. Is there a second?
I would second that motion.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
We're gonna ask for an April 1st start on it so we can get it done as soon as we possibly can.
Thank you. Thanks, Carrie.
Thanks, Kevin.
At this time, we'll move on to our discussion workshop session that we had last week. Chelsea, you wanna take it first, or?
Well, kind of what I was hoping for is maybe we can touch base on some of the highlights of what we had discussed between council, planning, and EDA, and then maybe what we can do is brainstorm to bring some of those ideas back to workshop, so we can start putting an action plan together and move forward with what we'd like to start seeing happen here for Richmond. So obviously one of the bigger things was development and growth for Richmond, both residential and commercial. We saw that through all three of the committees, and everyone had different ideas and thoughts of how we can move forward with it. Are there incentives, things of that sort that we can maybe do? Is there other things that Richmond can do as far as getting more development in the city limits? Can we offer tax abatement, TIF for any new businesses or development that happens to kind of help with some of those tax issues that come with it. Another thing, obviously, the tax base growth would be as far as annexation, and that's more or less the biggest way you can get your tax base to grow. So is there other areas that we'd like to look at, try and fight for, go for the annexation? And then just attractions to Richmond, as far as what can we add to Richmond as an attraction to bring people here and keep them here. If it's splash pads, band shelter, fitness stations, anything, different businesses, anything of that sort, what would be an attraction to bring people here and keep them here, to keep the city growing. So those are kind of some of the highlights, and I don't know, council, if there's something else that I'm missing that you'd like to shine some light on at all. But it kind of sounds like all three of the committees were about on the same idea and level as far as what they see as an issue for Richmond, and then that we do need to start implementing some sort of plan for some of these. Now, you guys as a council, however you want to move forward, if you want to take 1 item, 2 items, and put action plans with it. But I think our biggest thing as far as trying to succeed and really get a lot out of Cynthia's presentation would be is we need to start taking our ideas and our thoughts and put them into a plan, and we need action now. And how are we going to follow through with that would be the big thing now. So I'm not sure if there's anything you guys want to add to it, or if you want to just start putting some ideas and brainstorming as far as what you want to more or less put together for a workshop and do more in depth at that point.
The best.
I guess one thing I'd like to see is that we'd open a dialogue with Wakefield Township. Either Tessa and myself going out to one of their meetings, and because we are looking to go east through the next property over, so we only do diligence on our part to go at least discuss it with them of what our plans are. We're not trying to go all the way to Cold Spring, but we're kind of landlocked where we're at. If we want to grow, we got to go one way or the other into the township. So I think that'd be one step, towards the annexation and our development. It kind of ties both in together. So. Some of the things Tess and I started talking about was just a bunch of different ideas, and we're gonna come up with some ideas and then shoot them by the whole council of what we see in some of our code books and stuff that we can maybe hopefully change that will make it easier for people to come here and build and get the ball rolling of people building here in Richmond again. So more or less just wanted to have an idea. We didn't waste the meeting last month. We kind of came up with a bunch of ideas and different things, and obviously the planning commission, the EDA, and the council are all in the same boat. It's just a matter of now to get some action out of it.
Well, I think the thing that we need to do with that is prioritize. I think that's probably the best way to be able to do this, is just look at, what we'd be thinking of doing, prioritizing since 2017. What's our goal, where we need to be at, and that including, the council, includes planning commission, includes the EDA. It was one thing we want to make sure that during this meeting, make sure that we were kind of all on the same page and all working for the same goal.
Right.
And I think if we did something like that, if we kind of projected out like that and gave everybody a little bit of a timeline of priorities, like which ones possibly could be some of the most important things that we need to address here within the city first, and then just kind of go for that, and then maybe do something, think about 2018, 2019. And you can kind of plan this out a few years in advance. But I think that would probably be a good way to start with those. Some of them can be big, some of them can be small, some of them we know might be far-fetched, that might even be out there farther than what our expectations are. But I think that's a good way to approach this. And I don't know how everybody else feels also about that too, so.
At least we're all kind of working in the same direction
That's
now.
the
I think
key
that
right
was a
there.
good meeting.
It was a great meeting.
Oh, excellent meeting.
Yeah.
So
So,
one of the things that really was apparent that we all talked about was the council needs to set some direction. And so I think those are really good steps for our next workshop, to do the prioritization and kind of draw out what it's gonna look like and set that direction, have that leadership that we talked about
Right.
during that work session.
yeah, and Cynthia did compile all of the information together with our work sessions that we broke out, those 3 questions, and I will get that emailed out for everybody, so then you can kind of go through it. It's in the minutes also, but
Okay.
I'll email it out separately too, that way you have it. And you can kind of go through, because she does kind of splits it out on the final one as far as who's responsible for what. And so there's the last question that we went through, and it kind of breaks it down as far as this is an EDA thing, city council, planning, all of you guys, things of that sort. So it'd be very beneficial for you.
Great.
So during the next workshop, are we gonna work on city council things and then planning's gonna work on planning things? Or are we gonna talk about all of it at the next one?
I would say at the next one, then, to kind of get an idea, direction as far as what does the council want to prioritize to get rolling. And then once you know what you want to get rolling, then we can split out the duties as far as who they need to go to, if it's planning, EDA, all 3, whatever it may be, because some things you guys are working on may not affect them. So then we can find other things for them to be working on to also help with maybe a different idea, but now we're getting, doing 2 at once,
Right.
kind of thing.
Right.
So,
Anybody else have comment on the work session?
Nothing, I would just suggest that for any group like this who needs to really lay things out. That was really excellent, honestly. Cynthia did a great job.
yep. And we did, we got it recorded, and Brad was able to put it on DVD form for us, so we have it for future also. If anyone wants to review it or, missed out, it's there to be watched. Yep.
Alright. With that said, we're gonna move on. Department reports tonight, we'll do Public Works. Gordy, do you have a report?
Yep, I do. Good evening, council, mayor.
Hello.
2 months ago, I reported on our sweeper, the heater core. That was about a $500 heater core on that baby. Called the guy back up again, that sold us a sweeper 13 years ago. You can't get the heater cores anymore. They discontinued that style. You can't even get the parts. So what I'm gonna be doing now is, we're getting ready to sweep. The weather's turning really nice, and it's high time that we get these streets cleaned up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna plug that heater core. I'll go up on top and just put a plug in the hose and run it as such. As soon as I get a little bit of time, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna see if I can't pull that heater core separate from the HEPA filter and the air conditioner coil, and see if I can't get that thing rebuilt by itself by like Ideal Radiator or somebody in St. Cloud. But until then, we're gonna probably need that sweeper, so what I'll probably do is I'm just gonna plug it up and we're gonna run it as such. I'll put a cover all on it. If it's cold in the morning, we'll just go like that. Cold patching. With the weather being as nice as it is, our roads are starting to buckle on us. Last week I picked up about a pallet of cold patching, which is about 2,000 pounds, 2,500 pounds. So far I've been putting down about 1,000 pounds of that. I still got the 1 ton about half full of that yet. So as soon as it dries up a little bit, I can continue to finish that project. So that's on the docket. Last week, Dave and I and the staff here, we met with our engineer, Dave is our engineer, with our 5-year road plan. If you guys remember, and I know Mike and Kate, you probably weren't on board at the time when we did this, but every once in a while we go through and we update our roads. And we're working on this 10-year road plan. So it's a 10-year road plan. We'll be working on that, and by next meeting, televised meeting, we're hoping to get a new plan drawn up. And then, of course, the council is gonna get to see that. And with that plan, we're also gonna be putting on the website. So people that are buying houses, or if they're looking at different things, they have an idea when their street may be worked on or be redone. But brings us to 2017 this year. We are planning on doing some crack filling. We're gonna probably do a little bit more than we typically do because we have some streets that got missed last year because we had those other projects with the tar and stuff. So I'll probably be putting on a little more crack filling. However, we're not gonna be doing any seal coating. We're gonna back off on the seal coating. Which brings us to Ivy Avenue. And that's kind of why we pulled it off a little bit. Because Ivy Avenue blew up this year. I don't know if anybody drove down Ivy Avenue. I had traffic cones out there for about a week. There's holes in it, probably about 8 inches deep. That's where we always had water troubles, and if you remember, last year I put in a French drain between second and third to try taking care of that water issue. So what I did is I asked Dave to give us a quote, what it would take to redo that street. We haven't got those numbers back yet.
I received them this morning,
You did, okay.
about 350,000 to 400,000. That's what we're looking at.
Okay, now, what I told him to do there was I asked him to get a price on curb and gutter for a 3-block corridor and widen the street out. So what we have to do there's a lot of mud that's in that street. That's still part of the old, what they call the old cold mix. Back in the 70s, Mike, you probably remember that back in the 70s, we went to work and we plowed everything in the middle, all the gravel, and we had a machine to come through and mix the oil with it, and we bladed it all out. That's basically how those roads were done back in the 70s. So that's still one of those original roads. So there's probably dirt underneath it, so it might have to be dug down and widened out, and that's where we're at, and that's probably where the prices are. And that's probably where I talked to some of the homeowners along there, where there might be an assessment for the curbing part, because we're gonna widen the street out, it's an improvement, so there might be an assessment on there. It's still premature yet, but it's something that we wanna probably pull the trigger on if we wanna do it, because the road is terrible. And it broke up. Like I say, out of that 1,000 pounds I put down, I probably have 990 pounds in that street, just that 1-block corridor. So, we have to do something with that street. I think we'll have to look at.
We'll look at the numbers a little bit more and see what our options are, and then we'll bring it back to you guys.
Yep.
Because I just received it this morning and we have auditors here this week and
Yep.
kinda got put on the back burner, so.
Yep.
Is there storm sewer involved in that or not?
What I did is I put a French drain in there, and we're talking to Dave, if we get curb and gutter the first between First Street and Second Street, where Jim Worm lives in there, that water should drain to that intersection, but First Street, and there's a storm in there, and if you go the next block up where that French drain I put in, there's a lull in there, it should drain in there, according to Dave. So he didn't think we did have to do that, but I haven't seen the numbers yet, what he came back with, if he's actually putting it in the street or not.
How common is that to use that French drain?
We've been using it quite often. We've been doing more and more. A lot of cities been doing it wherever there's a place that we can't drain the water, or if we can't tie it into a system. And what we do is we basically take a 6-foot manhole and we dig it down as deep as a backhoe can go, 12, 14 feet, and we take out all the sand, a 12-yard load of sand, and we bring a 12-yard load of rock back in. And then it's all buried below the frost. And it eats it up pretty good. If the drain is too small, then it doesn't do it, but eventually it does drain. It works out pretty good. The salt brine tank, we finished that project up. Todd and myself from Wakefield Township, we had a little project together. We got these salt brine tanks, and it works slick. Our alleyways were really icy, the ones just downtown here. We couldn't get that ice off, but I put that salt brine on it with the salt, that chewed it off. It went off really quick. So I'm glad, I wish I'd have done this 10 years ago, but because it really does work slick. Being it's nice out, people like to haul brush out to the compost. We have been getting some people, and I guess officially the compost is not open yet. I'm not going to shoo anybody away. It's got a load of brush on, of course, but it is not open. Officially, it's not open yet. The reason for that is because where I haul the brush, it's mud. I don't expect to go in that field and rut up that guy's field just because it's wet. So right now, officially, the compost is not open yet. Then, of course, the street sweeper. We're gonna start doing that, and then of course, next month, we're hoping to have this map for you guys to review, workshop or whatever, and we'll start looking at some of these streets that we have to do. So, other than that, we're kind of busy. There's every year I write a to-do list, and I keep adding to the to-do list. I've been working on the to-do list. The 1 ton is in the shop right now, other one being loaded with coal patch for some projects I want to get finished up on that truck too. So we're doing some stuff in the shop also. So, any questions? Comments or concerns? Because Kevin's not after me, I can take a little longer tonight.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks.
Thanks, Corey. We'll move on to the fire report. Chief Steve Kost.
Evening Mayor, Council. Tonight I'll start off with the number of calls. Back in January, we started off with 16 calls for the month of January. Last month, we kind of backed way off down to 4 for a total of 20 medicals, no fires so far this year. Training for the last month was more like an awareness of hazards when we go on medical calls and stuff like that, just for different hazards and stuff to look for. If people are doing meth labs or any of that stuff, just kind of look for the different things to make us aware. So just know our surroundings and stuff like that, and things out on Highway 23 as far as what's being transported out there in railways and stuff like that. Making sure everything's got placards on it and stuff. Then we had, on February 18th, we had 5 members that, on our department, that went out to Pleasant Lake out by Rockville. They did the polar plunge, which is a money fundraiser for the Special Olympics. We do that every year. We get a few guys to step up and do the polar plunge. This year the lake wasn't safe enough, so they just set up their drop tank in the parking lot and jumped into that. So instead of going on the lake, which was kind of different. Then I'd like to introduce our 3 newest members of the fire department. We have Andrew Kapinski, Garrett Koenig, and Stephen Eight.
Welcome. Thank you. Look forward to it.
These 3 are currently taking their firefighter 1, or done with their firefighter 1, I do believe. Moving on to hazmat and then off to firefighter 2 classes. And then this fall we'll get them enrolled into first responder.
Great.
So you guys have any questions or?
No,
Look forward to. Thank you.
thanks.
Thank you. Welcome.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, thank you.
3 good guys I'd like to add to that too, so they've been really good, so.
He doesn't say that about everybody.
So yeah, welcome aboard, I appreciate you guys, it's a pleasure.
Thanks for coming tonight.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, that's pretty much all I had on my report, so if there's any questions or.
Do you have any, how many calls you had last year?
Last year I do not, I'm not sure what the number was on the end. 115,
I believe so.
115?
somewhere around there.
Do you guys do any training around mental health? Like, when you're responding to medicals and maybe you come across something that is clearly maybe a mental health case, do you have any training on that?
We haven't really done too much on that, that's a good point.
There's just a lot going on right now in the state with mental health, and there's some talk about first responders, EMS, public safety, and mental health. So I was wondering if anything has come across your desk or anything yet. I'm
Nope.
sure it will, but
Yeah, I haven't seen nothing yet, but that's a good point, that'd be a good topic to bring up.
you'll probably be seeing more. There's a lot of funding that's going to be coming out, I believe. So
Good, we'll take care of that.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, Steve.
We'll move on to the EDA report for this evening.
Well, we pretty much discussed after that February 16th meeting that we had, to kind of get some ideas of what roles we actually have for the EDA, but I guess we're gonna kind of continue with what we've been working on, and, like I said, got a better idea of the other groups' involvements with everything, so I guess.
Improved our first enhancement
Pardon me?
program. We improved our first
Well, that
enhancement
we did too,
application.
yeah. We approved our first,
Enhancement.
enhancement program, funding, from Ricky's Liquor. So that was a good step.
And I seen they had the sign up already.
Yeah.
Oh, did they have it up?
Yeah, we've got it up now, yep.
Yep, it
Okay,
was
good.
supposed to
Yeah,
be
I know there were
installed
some
last
issues with
week.
that, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We received our portion of the bill too, so.
Okay. And other than that, then our next meeting is what, the 20th? March 20th, right?
No, the next meeting would be the 28th, March
Oh, the
28th.
28th. Oh,
Yep.
yeah, okay.
Yep. So,
The 28th then.
yeah,
And that meeting is at City Hall here.
6:30.
Alright, anybody have any questions for Mike?
Nope.
Or Michael? Alright, then we'll move on to the Rickory Trail. Tim?
We met February 1st, I believe that's what it was, yes,
Second.
February 2nd. Thank you. We awarded the bid for the construction to Knife River. And we also had Kevin Scott from SEH and Pete Weber, also of our committee, give a presentation to TAP, which is a transportation alternative program basically. And we were #1 out of our region, so that looks very, very good for us to get some funding, some grants out of that. So we're, in the past, that's where we've always wanted to get to, so we finally got there, so.
What does that mean?
Basically, that's where we're trying to get some of our funds from the, it's a grant from the feds and state.
What are we first on? I just.
It's, they divide us up in regions.
Okay.
And what they do is what program is what project is more important.
Oh,
And I think
okay.
Kevin can give you a little more, he was down there doing that presentation.
We competed against 9 other communities in our region for trail projects, and we're shovel ready, so we got #1 priority out of, I mean, we have better projects than St. Cloud, Sartell, Stearns County, so.
But there's still another step. We were ranked
Still
number
another
1.
step.
on
So
that
we were
part.
ranked #1 in our region. We have to compete with 3 other regions too, as well, for the funding. So our request was $750,000. So I think we're looking really good to get that. So
Great.
yeah,
And then they're gonna announce it, comes in what?
it's around June is when they
somewhere
make the
around there,
final
it's
determination.
summer, so.
So if we get that, is it this year? We're gonna,
No, that'd probably be more for fiscal year 2020.
okay.
That's how far out the feds
Yeah.
give their money.
Yeah, they
So.
don't give you money right away.
No.
But we're constructing trail this year. They'll break ground as soon as spring hits for about 1.5 miles from Rockville working towards Cold Spring.
To that cul-de-sac that's in there, that, on the old 23 there, basically right there. So,
Great.
excited.
Yeah, very much.
Very excited we get that next step, but I think that's, by doing that, we got an extra, by doing this now, that section between Cold Spring and Rockville, that's gonna be the tough one.
Yeah, a lot of stuff in there. There's like 13 ancient stone brick culverts underneath them, so they all need to be repaired. And but I mean they're pretty old. They're pretty cool. You actually get a chance to walk down there and look at them. They're pretty neat. They've been there for 100 years. You know, it's kind of fun.
Another meeting tomorrow.
Meetings tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Over in Rockville, 9 o'clock.
Alright, thanks, Kevin.
Yep.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Tim.
You bet.
Moving on, other matters of concern or related items for this evening? Is there any?
I don't have any.
Anybody else have any other matters? If not, just a reminder, dog licenses are due by May 1st. Otherwise, the price goes up, and you also need to bring in your shot records with your dog to get your dog permits. Our next council meeting is March 16th at 6:30 here at City Hall, and as we talked about earlier, we will be discussing our work session, will be probably our main topic for the evening.
Does the 16th still work? Cause the last meeting there were some issues. Mike, didn't you have some issues with scheduling of that?
Possibly, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I think it still might be
Cause
okay.
I will be at my conference, but I will come back,
Okay,
so.
okay, I'll let you know.
That's the day that you're gone?
I actually leave Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday evening, and it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is typically the clerk's conference. But if we are gonna be having the workshop, then I will come back Thursday, so we can have workshop. Friday's only morning anyways, so I won't miss out on too much, but.
Well, you're just gonna not come back. I get it. You're not gonna drive back and drive back there?
No, it's in Welch,
Okay.
so it's what, 3 hours?
Yeah,
2.5,
okay.
so, not,
Got it.
so.
Right. Nothing else, I look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Thanks, everybody.